The streets of Denver, Colorado, were soaked from the relentless rain. The picturesque town, usually buzzing with life and charm, now seemed cold and hostile under the dark clouds. Elena, a young mother in her early 30s, walked through the rain with her 8-year-old son, Alex, by her side. She had been abandoned by her husband, leaving her to fend for herself and her son. They were homeless, struggling to find shelter and food. "Mommy, I'm cold." Alex's small voice trembled as he held tightly to Elena's hand. "We'll find somewhere warm soon, sweetheart," Elena reassured him, though she felt the words hollow even as she spoke them. Her eyes scanned the street desperately for any sign of refuge. As they trudged along, they passed people hurrying by, their faces turned away, avoiding eye contact. Elena's heart sank with each indifferent glance. "Excuse me, ma'am," she called out to a woman rushing past, but the woman ignored her, tightening her coat against the rain. They continued walking until Elena spotted a small storefront with a covered awning. She led Alex under it, grateful for the slight reprieve from the rain. They huddled together, Elena wrapping her arms around Alex, trying to impart some warmth to her shivering son. "Look, Mommy, it's not raining here," Alex said with a small smile, his innocent optimism tugging at Elena's heart. "Stay here, sweetie. I'll be right back," Elena said, standing up and approaching a man who was closing his shop. "Sir, please, do you have any food you can spare?" she asked, her voice wavering. The man looked at her with a mixture of pity and caution. After a moment, he reached into his bag and handed her a burger. "It's not much, but it's all I have right now," he said. "Thank you. Thank you so much," Elena said, her eyes welling up with tears. She returned to Alex and handed him the burger, watching as his face lit up. They shared the meager meal, and as Elena watched Alex eat, she felt a surge of determination. Her son's innocent eyes, so full of hope despite their circumstances, gave her the strength to keep going. Night began to fall, and the temperature dropped further. The rain continued its relentless downpour. Under the scant shelter of the storefront awning, Elena and Alex huddled together, seeking refuge from the biting cold. "Mommy, are we going to stay here tonight?" Alex's voice was small and tired, his earlier optimism fading with the daylight. "We'll find somewhere safer soon," Elena replied, her voice steady despite the gnawing uncertainty. She wrapped her coat tighter around Alex, determined to keep him warm. Just then, Elena noticed an elderly man stumbling through the rain. His frail figure was barely visible through the sheets of water. He seemed lost and confused, his steps faltering as he approached the awning. "Excuse me, sir, are you all right?" Elena called out, concern evident in her voice. The man looked up, his eyes weary and filled with confusion. I can't seem to find my way home," he said, his voice trembling. "My name is Henry. I was out for a walk, and I must have taken a wrong turn." Elena's heart ached for the elderly man. Despite her own struggles, she felt a surge of compassion. "Come under here out of the rain," she invited, making space for him. "You shouldn't be out in this weather." Henry gratefully accepted the offer, his body shivering as he stepped under the awning. "Thank you, young lady. I don't know what I would have done without your help." Elena rummaged through her small bag, pulling out the last bite of bread she'd saved for Alex. She hesitated for a moment, then handed it to Henry along with a few coins. "Here, take this. It's not much, but it should help you get home," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "Mommy, that was for us?" Alex whispered, his eyes wide with surprise. "I know, darling, but Mr. Henry needs it more right now," Elena replied softly, brushing a strand of wet hair from Alex's forehead. Henry's eyes filled with tears as he accepted the bread and money. "You are too kind," he said, his voice breaking. "I have nothing to offer in return, but I believe that the kindness you've shown me tonight will come back to you in ways you cannot imagine." Elena smiled, touched by his words. "Thank you, Mr. Henry. I hope you get home safely." Henry nodded, wiping away his tears. "Bless you and your little boy," he said, his voice filled with emotion. He explained where he lived, and Elena gave him clear directions, ensuring he could find his way back. As Henry walked away, disappearing into the rain, Elena felt a sense of peace wash over her. Despite their dire situation, she knew she had done the right thing. See, Alex, sometimes we have to help others even when we don't have much ourselves. It's what makes us human. Alex nodded, his eyes wide with understanding. You're a good person, Mommy, he said, hugging Elena tightly. As night deepened, the rain continued its relentless assault on the streets of Denver. The cold seeped into Elena's bones, but she clung to Alex, determined to keep him warm. They stayed under the storefront awning for a while longer, watching the rainfall and listening to the distant sounds of the town. Mommy, I'm so tired, Alex whispered, his voice barely audible over the patter of rain. I know, sweetheart, Elena replied softly. Just a little longer, and we'll find a place to rest. Elena's eyes scanned the street once more, hoping for a miracle. Just then, she noticed a woman in her mid-40s, wearing a light blue raincoat and carrying an umbrella, walking towards them. The woman's eyes were kind and filled with compassion. Excuse me, are you okay? The woman asked gently, her voice filled with concern. Elena looked up, her eyes meeting the woman's compassionate gaze. We're fine, thank you, she said, though her voice betrayed her exhaustion. The woman reached out and touched Elena's arm gently. I saw what happened back there. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. My name is Nancy. Can I help you in any way? Elena felt a lump form in her throat, and despite her efforts to hold back, a tear slipped down her cheek. We just need a place to stay dry, she admitted, her voice breaking. Mommy, I'm so tired, Alex whispered, his voice barely audible over the patter of rain. I know, sweetheart, Elena replied softly. Just a little longer, and we'll find a place to rest. Nancy's expression softened even more. Come with me, she said kindly. There's a cafe just around the corner. We can sit there for a while, and I can get you something warm to drink. Grateful and relieved, Elena nodded. Thank you, Nancy. You don't know how much this means to us. They followed Nancy to the cafe, a small, cozy place with the inviting aroma of fresh coffee and baked goods. The warmth of the cafe enveloped them as they stepped inside, a stark contrast to the cold, wet street they had just left behind. Nancy led them to a table by the window and went to order some drinks. Alex looked around, his eyes wide with wonder at the cozy surroundings. Mommy, it's so nice here, he whispered. Elena managed a small smile. Yes, it is. We're very lucky to have met Nancy. A few minutes later, Nancy returned with 2 hot chocolates and a cup of tea. She placed them on the table and sat down with a gentle smile. Here you go. This should help warm you up. Thank you so much, Elena said, her voice filled with gratitude as she wrapped her hands around the warm mug. Alex took a tentative sip of his hot chocolate, his face lighting up with delight. Nancy reached into her purse and pulled out a small envelope. I don't want to intrude, but I'd like to help you get back on your feet. There's some money in here. I know it's not much, but I hope it can help you find a place to stay for a while. Elena's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were tears of gratitude. I don't know what to say. You're too kind. Nancy shook her head. It's the least I can do. We all need a little help sometimes. And if you ever need someone to talk to, here's my number. She handed Elena a small card with her contact information. Overwhelmed by the kindness, Elena couldn't hold back her tears any longer. She broke down, sobbing quietly into her hands. Nancy moved closer, wrapping an arm around her shoulders in a comforting embrace. It's okay, she whispered. You're not alone. Alex watched silently, his young mind trying to process the mix of emotions he was witnessing. After a few moments, he reached out and took Nancy's hand. Thank you for helping my mommy, he said softly. Nancy smiled through her own tears. You're very welcome, Alex. You and your mom are very strong, and I know things will get better for you. As Elena's sobs subsided, she took a deep breath and looked up at Nancy. I don't know how to thank you, she said, her voice hoarse but sincere. Nancy squeezed her hand gently. Just take care of yourself and Alex. That's all the thanks I need. The evening air was crisp and filled with the lingering scent of rain as they left the cafe. Elena felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. Nancy's kindness had reminded her that even in the darkest times, there were still good people willing to help. Let's find somewhere safe to sleep, Elena said, taking Alex's hand. They ventured back into the rain, their spirits uplifted by the encounter with Nancy. They walked through the quiet streets, eventually finding a small park with a sturdy gazebo. It wasn't much, but it would provide some shelter from the elements. Elena arranged their few belongings, creating a makeshift bed for Alex. "Mommy, will Mr. Henry be okay?" Alex asked as he lay down. "I believe he will, sweetheart. And so will we," Elena said, kissing Alex's forehead. "Now close your eyes and rest. Tomorrow is a new day." Alex snuggled into his makeshift bed, his eyes closing as he drifted off to sleep. Elena sat beside him, keeping watch. Her thoughts drifted to Henry's prophetic words, and she prayed silently, hoping for a brighter future for her and Alex. The next morning, the rain had eased to a light drizzle, but the chill in the air remained. Elena and Alex woke up early in the gazebo, feeling the dampness in their bones. They had to move quickly before anyone discovered them. Packing up their few belongings, Elena led Alex back to the streets of Denver, their search for shelter and food continuing. As they walked, a sleek black car suddenly pulled up beside them. The window rolled down, revealing a man in his mid-30s with kind eyes and a concerned expression. "Excuse me, are you Elena?" the man asked gently. Elena hesitated, clutching Alex's hand tighter. "Yes, I'm Elena. Who are you?" "My name is John. I believe you met my father, Henry, a few days ago. He couldn't stop talking about the kindness you showed him. I've been looking for you since then." Elena's heart skipped a beat. She remembered Henry well, the elderly man they had helped in the rain. "Yes, I remember Henry. Is he okay?" John nodded, his eyes softening. "He's fine, but he's been very worried about you and your son. Please let me help you. It's the least we can do after what you did for my father." A wave of relief mixed with apprehension washed over Elena. She glanced down at Alex, who looked up at her with wide, trusting eyes. "Thank you, John. We could really use some help." John stepped out of the car and opened the back door. "Please get in. You must be freezing." Elena helped Alex into the car and then climbed in herself, feeling the warmth of the heated seats envelop them. Alex looked around in awe at the luxurious interior. "Mommy, it's so nice in here," he whispered. "Yes, it is," Elena replied, her voice trembling with a mix of gratitude and disbelief. She turned to John. "Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means to us." John smiled, his eyes filled with warmth. "It's my pleasure. Let's get you both home, cleaned up, and something warm to eat." The car glided smoothly through the streets, and Elena felt like she was living in a dream. The kindness of this stranger, the warmth of the car, and the promise of a safe place to rest all seemed too good to be true. She glanced at Alex, who had already started to doze off, his head resting against her shoulder. John's home was a beautiful, large house on the outskirts of town. The car pulled up to the front entrance, and John quickly got out, helping Elena and Alex out of the car. "Welcome to my home," he said, his voice warm and inviting. Elena took in the sight of the grand house, feeling a mix of awe and gratitude. "Thank you, John. Really, thank you." Inside, the house was just as impressive. John led them to a cozy living room where a fire crackled warmly in the fireplace. "Please make yourselves comfortable. I'll have some clothes brought down for you and get a meal started." A few minutes later, a housekeeper arrived with fresh towels and clothes. "The bathroom is just down the hall," she said with a kind smile. "Take your time." Elena and Alex took turns showering, the hot water washing away not just the grime but also a bit of the fatigue and despair that had clung to them. When they emerged, dressed in clean, warm clothes, they found a hearty breakfast waiting for them in the kitchen. Pancakes, eggs, bacon, and fresh fruit. Alex's eyes lit up at the sight. "Mommy, look at all this food." Elena smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. "It looks amazing, doesn't it?" They sat down to eat, savoring each bite. John joined them, watching with a gentle smile as they ate. "You're welcome to stay here as long as you need," he said. "My father would be very upset with me if I didn't offer you a safe place." Tears welled up in Elena's eyes. "John, we can't thank you enough. We've been through so much, and your kindness is more than we could have ever hoped for." John reached across the table and squeezed Elena's hand. "You helped my father when he was lost and scared. This is the least we can do. And don't worry about anything. We'll help you get back on your feet." As they finished their meal, Elena felt a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. The warmth of the fire, the fullness of their stomachs, and the kindness of John gave her hope that they were finally on the path to a better future. Over the next few days, Elena and Alex began to adjust to their new surroundings in John's home. The warmth and kindness they experienced from John and his father, Henry, were a balm to their weary souls. Each day brought new hope and a sense of stability that had been missing from their lives for so long. One morning, John approached Elena in the kitchen as she was preparing breakfast. "Good news, Elena," he said with a smile. "I found a position at a local bookmart that's looking for help. I think it would be perfect for you." Elena's face lit up with excitement. "Really? That's wonderful, John. I love books." "I thought you might," John replied. "The owner, Mr. Thompson, is a friend of mine. He's eager to meet you." Tears of gratitude filled Elena's eyes. "I don't know how to thank you, John. You've done so much for us." "Seeing you and Alex happy is thanks enough," John said warmly. That afternoon, Elena went to the bookmart for her interview. Mr. Thompson, a kind older man, welcomed her warmly. "David has told me a lot about you, Elena. I think you'll be a great fit here." The interview went smoothly, and Elena left the bookmart feeling hopeful and excited about the future. When she returned to John's home, Alex ran to her, his face alight with curiosity. "Mommy, how did it go?" "It went really well, sweetie. I think I got the job," Elena replied, lifting Alex into her arms. "Yay! I'm so happy for you, Mommy," Alex exclaimed, hugging her tightly. That evening, they celebrated with a special dinner. Henry, John, and Alex gathered around the table, the room filled with laughter and joy. The bond they had formed was evident in every interaction, a testament to the love and kindness that had brought them together. As the days turned into weeks, Elena found herself thriving at her new job. She enjoyed helping customers find books and organizing the shelves. Each task, no matter how small, filled her with a sense of accomplishment and joy. She was building a life for herself and Alex, one step at a time. One sunny afternoon, Elena decided it was time to reunite with the people who had shown her and Alex such kindness during their darkest days. With John's help, she located Linda and Nancy and arranged a reunion at Linda's diner, now called the Cozy Corner. As they walked into the familiar little eatery, the comforting smell of home-cooked meals and the gentle murmur of conversation greeted them. Linda looked up from behind the counter, her eyes widening in recognition. "Elena! Alex! Is that really you?" Elena's eyes filled with tears of joy. "Yes, Linda, it's us." Linda hurried over, enveloping them both in a warm hug. "It's so good to see you. And look at you, Alex, you've grown so much." "Hi, Linda. I missed you," Alex said, smiling brightly. Just then, Nancy walked in, her face breaking into a wide smile as she spotted Elena and Alex. "There you are. It's wonderful to see you again." Elena hugged Nancy tightly, emotions swirling within her. "Nancy, I can't tell you how grateful I am. Both of you, Linda and Nancy, you were our angels when we needed it most." They all sat down to share a meal, the atmosphere warm and filled with laughter. Plates of delicious food were shared, stories exchanged, and for a few hours, the worries of the world seemed to melt away. As the night drew to a close, Elena felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The reunion had brought a sense of closure and immense gratitude. She looked around the table at the faces of those who had become like family to her and Alex. "Thank you, all of you," Elena said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "You've shown me that even in the darkest times, there is light. Your kindness has been our guiding star." Linda and Nancy both had tears in their eyes. "And you, Elena, are a testament to strength and perseverance," Linda said softly. John raised his glass. "To new beginnings, to the kindness that brought us all together, and to the light of hope that never fades." Everyone raised their glasses, the moment filled with warmth and connection. As they left the diner and walked into the cool night air, Elena felt a profound sense of peace. The journey had been long and challenging, but they had made it through with the help of kind and compassionate people. She knew there would still be challenges ahead, but with the strength of their new family, they were ready to face whatever came their way.